There's a new cabin cruiser sitting on a dealer's floor right now, 34 feet, with a price tag that reads $704,000. Nobody's buying it. The salesman has quietly stopped even walking people over to it, because the folks who used to buy that boat stopped coming through the door. 20 years ago, that same dealer had a whole row of cabin cruisers. 32 feet, 36, 40, real cabins, aft staterooms, boats a family bought to spend a summer aboard. That row is gone now. In its place, there's a wall of center consoles bristling with outboards and 2 or 3 of those 6-figure dayboats nobody's making an offer on. The salesman didn't do this. A whole market walked away from the cabin cruiser, and he's left in the wreckage trying to move what's on his floor at full margin. His trade now is walking you past the boat you actually want and toward the one that pays his mortgage. And the boat you actually want isn't on his floor at all. It's 40 years old, tied up 3 docks down, and it's the best money on the water. Because here's what nobody selling new fiberglass will tell you. The cabin cruiser didn't die. The business of building new ones did. And when a whole class of boats stops getting built, the used ones don't turn worthless, they turn precious. Today I'm going to walk you through 6 of them, boats from builders who are either gone or gave up, and show you why the death of the new cabin cruiser is the best thing that ever happened to your wallet. Let me lay the numbers out flat because they tell the whole story. Sea Ray, the biggest name in American cruisers, shut down its yacht and sport yacht lines back in 2018. Pulled everything under 40 feet and has been pouring its money into outboard boats ever since. Bayliner, which sold more cabin cruisers to more families than anybody alive, quit building them in this country around 2012 and walked off to make bow riders and jet boats. That same year, the whole Lures group, Silverton, Mainship, and Lures, 3 names under one roof, shut the doors in New Jersey and filed for bankruptcy. Carver, the company that practically invented the aft cabin motor yacht, closed its Wisconsin plant in 2021. One after another, the lights went out. And it wasn't a mystery. When the market cracked, the big boats fell the hardest. In the spring of 2012, sales of 31 to 40-foot boats were down better than a fifth from the year before, and the 40 to 60-foot class fell off by nearly half. That's the exact size range every one of these cabin cruisers lives in. New boat sales in this country now run at about half of what they were back in the year 2000. The buyers who wanted a real cabin, a galley, a bed you could stand up next to, went to the used market and stayed there. The industry chased them with center consoles and outboard day boats, everything the cabin cruiser wasn't. Better than 3 of every 4 boats that change hands today are pre-owned. The builders couldn't follow the buyer across that street, so one by one they stopped trying. None of that is a tragedy for you. It's the whole reason the good ones are cheap. So let's start down at number 6 at the shallow end of the money with the Cruisers 337 Osprey. This one boat tells the whole story. Cruisers Yachts is among the last builders still standing in this class, and its brand new boats start north of $700,000. But its own 33-footer from around 1990, twin Crusader gas engines, a real cabin, a real galley, a berth you can sleep a family in, sells today for $13,000, $14,000, maybe $17,000. No, that's the real number. $13,000 for a whole cruising boat the new boat crowd forgot existed. The surface read on a boat that cheap is that it has to be a wreck. Sometimes it is, but an awful lot of them are just sound, honest, 30-year-old fiberglass that nobody's bidding against because the market that ought to want them moved on. Talk to the people who own them, and you hear the same thing over and over. Nothing but weekends and good memories, bought for less than a single season of slip fees on something newer. Get there first, and you take the pick of the litter. Number 5, and this one I'll defend to your face because it's fashionable to laugh at it. The Bayliner 3288 motor yacht. Say the word Bayliner on any dock in America and somebody will smirk. Cheap boat, they'll tell you, throwaway tin can. That's lazy talk from people who never owned one. The 3288 was the best-selling motor yacht Bayliner ever built. 32 feet of flybridge cruiser with an aft cabin, and on plenty of them a pair of frugal little Hino diesels sipping fuel down at trawler speed. They sell now for $15,000 to $50,000, and clean ones sit right in the middle of that. Owners will tell you a well-kept one runs for decades on those Hinos with nothing but oil, filters, and impellers. Was it built to the standard of a boat that cost 3 times as much? No, and nobody ever pretended it was. But it did the job honestly, it did it cheap, and it's simple enough that a regular man keeps one running in his own slip. And the irony is worth sitting with. The The company that built the most affordable cabin cruiser in America looked at its own market, decided nobody wanted it, and quit. The boat's still good, the business just gave up on it. We're heading into the top 3 now, and these are the boats I'd spend my own money on. If any of this is steering you clear of a mistake, do me the one favor that keeps this channel afloat. Tap the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. It costs you nothing, and it tells the algorithm to put this in front of the next fella who's about to overpay for new. Number 4 is the Silverton 34, and it's a lesson in what a dead builder does to a price. Silverton turned out roomy, family-friendly cruisers by the thousands out of New Jersey. Big interiors, big cockpits, twin gas engines a man can actually reach. Then in 2012, the company went dark for good. Now the salesman would call that a red flag, an orphan brand, no factory behind it. And on some boats, that's a fair worry. But on a Silverton, the parts are ordinary Crusader gas engines and off-the-shelf hardware, and there are so many hulls out there that the used market itself is your parts counter. What the dead builder really did was knock the price into the dirt. You'll find a solid one in the 20s, sometimes down in the teens, a 34-foot cruiser with 2 staterooms for less than folks pay for a base boat. Ask anybody who cruises the Chesapeake or the Great Lakes, and they'll point you at a Silverton somebody's run happily for 20 years. And because there are thousands of them out there, you're never the only buyer or the only seller, so when your day comes to move on, she actually sells. The company's fear became the buyer's discount. Number 3, and now we're into real boat. The Sea Ray 380 aft cabin. 41 feet on the water, a 14-foot beam, 2 cabins, 2 heads, a proper home afloat from the company that was king of this whole class before it walked away. These trade in the $60,000 to $140,000 range depending on how she's powered, and that power is exactly where I owe you the truth. A lot of them came with twin Caterpillar 3126 diesels. That Cat is a strong engine, but it is not the simple mechanical diesel this channel usually sends you hunting. It's electronic. It needs a laptop to talk to, and some of its parts run through the dealer. The gas 454 versions, oddly enough, are the simpler boat to own. Either way, you step aboard knowing exactly what's under the hatch, because on a boat this size, the engine is the whole ball game. Find one with sensible hours and clean oil, and that Cat will run for thousands of hours yet, electronic or not, as long as you buy it with both eyes open. And that, knowing whether the engine bolted into your dream boat is one you can fix or one that holds you hostage, is the exact thing that separates a smart buy from a slow bleed. It's why I put the whole system down in the Boats Worth Buying playbook: how to read an engine, how to spot the dealer-locked electronics, and how to price a boat before you ever fall for the paint. It runs you a few dollars against the $20,000 or $30,000 a surprise repower yanks straight out of your pocket. The link's in the description, and there's a QR code on screen if you'd rather just scan it. And if you'd sooner work it out on your own, everything I just said still holds. Number 2, the Carver 356 aft cabin, and it's the second boat I'll go to bat for tonight. Carver spent years getting sneered at. Slab-sided, they'd say, a floating condo, tender and a chop. There's a grain of truth in it. She's a tall boat and she likes calm water. But hear the other side. Carver practically invented the aft cabin motor yacht back in 1984. And what they were really selling was more livable room per dollar than anybody in the business. They put full beam aft cabins and standing headroom into a boat a middle-class family could actually afford, and they sold them by the tens of thousands. A 36-foot 356 gives you a full aft stateroom, a real salon, 2 heads, headroom everywhere you walk, the kind of space that costs $250,000 new today. Used, they go for $55,000 to $100,000. Carver shut its Wisconsin doors in 2021, and the plant got bought up by Cruisers Yachts. Even the Survivor needed the dead man's factory. For a couple who wants to live aboard without a mortgage, the Carver is the most house you can float for the money. And number 1, the boat I'd put my own money on ahead of all of them, the Mainship 34. This is the honest one. Back in the late 1970s, in the teeth of a fuel crisis, Mainship built a plain 34-foot cruiser around a single Perkins diesel. 1 engine, mechanical, no computer, nothing to fault out on a Sunday afternoon. A solid fiberglass hull under her. Mainship sold that little cruiser by the thousand when fuel got dear, and they were built well enough that the older ones barely show their years. At 7 knots, she sips about 2 gallons an hour, and she'll run close to 400 miles on a tank. You can pick up the older ones from $11,000 to the low 50s, and even the later single diesel models land well under what a new dayboat sales tax would cost you. Here's what makes her the one. Everything this channel preaches: a simple engine, parts on a shelf, a hull any yard can fix, a boat you own instead of finance. The Mainship 34 already was, 40 years before I ever said a word about it. The company that built her went under in 2012. The boat just keeps running. That's not a discontinued model. That's a lesson the whole industry priced wrong. If it were my money and my dock, I'd do one of two things. I'd take that Mainship 34 for the couple who wants to go slow, go far, and never sweat the fuel dock or the mechanic, or I'd take the Bayliner 3288 for the family that wants a real cabin this weekend and won't spend more than a good used car to get it. One's the purist's boat, one's the everyman's, and both were built by companies that had already decided you'd stopped existing. They quit building these because they swore up and down that nobody wanted them. 6 boats later, you and I both know they were wrong, and the proof is tied up at every dock in the country, waiting on somebody who bothered to run the math. Don't buy the story that new is the only way onto the water. The builders gave up on the cabin cruiser. You don't have to.